What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another deck profile here on TCG University for the card game UniVersus. My name's Tam, and today I'm going to be going over the banned character Napalm Man 1 Dot. This deck was submitted to us by one of our faculty members here, Travis. This is Travis's deck. And before we jump into it, yes, we know all of these characters are banned. The point of this was to have a really fun tournament here while we're all stuck at home and just showcase some really fun tabletop UFS, or UniVersus, excuse me. So if you want to see that, make sure that you check out the Band Brawl playlist here on the channel. And let's jump into the profile. All right, so this is Napalm Man 1 Dot. He is a banned character. You cannot play him in Standard currently. And the reason is because he's insane. He's super crazy good. So let's talk about what Napalm Man 1 does. If you've seen any of my deck profiles, as opposed to just reading the cards out verbatim, I kind of just want to give you an overall idea, an elevator pitch of how the deck works. So how does this deck work? This deck works by doing two things. First, forming, destroying the coolest thing my opponent has, whether it be a foundation or an asset. And then every time that I play an attack, do an additional 2 guaranteed damage off of the your turn enhance. It's also super good whenever you get reversaled because it's just your turn. And so if they reversal you just burn them for another 2. He puts you on the realest clock ever, and he keeps my opponent's foundation count fairly low because every time that he gets a turn, my opponent is essentially -1 hand size because they debuilt a card. It's an interesting way to look at it. So, like I said, Travis built these decks, and he built his decks fairly thick because he loves to have a lot of options. And so the very first option that he wanted to have was he wanted to play Napalm Man 2 Dot in his main board. Napalm Man 2 Dot is a currently standard legal version of Napalm Man 1 Dot with some slightly different effects. As opposed to destroying foundations, he picks up attacks every turn, and then as opposed to just guaranteed burn, it is a burn, but my opponent can discard a card to cancel it. Napalm Man 1 Dot by himself is fantastic and is totally ban worthy. Whenever you stack both of these characters on top of each other, it is a force to be reckoned with. And so the first tool of this deck is just Napalm Man 2 as just a one-of. I'm really excited to see the future of UniVersus as we start to see more characters and we just are able to accidentally stack on an additional one. And the easy way to stack on an additional character is by playing some gauge attacks. And so the first 2 attacks that we're going to be looking at are gauges, and this is Moon Ritual Dance. It's the only 2 check in our attack lineup. It says Gauge 2. It burns them 2 off of Napalm Man, and it finds you Napalm Man 2 Dot. As a 7-low on turn 1, that lets you build or found an additional card. This card is super worth. Excuse me. This card is super worth just jamming out, or if you've got a neat interaction when it comes to characters. This card is probably the best gauge attack inside of the game. So, following that, once we do this, this card's a little bit of a win more card, but this card says if I have at least 2 characters in my staging area, which I do because I've gauged already off of the Moon Ritual Dance, this card doesn't ignores progressive difficulty, and it can search itself out, and so you can find off of Napalm Man. I'm just gonna put this here. You can find off of Napalm Man 2 Dot. You can pick one of these up out of your discard pile, and then you can search the other 2 out of your deck, and then just play a 4 mid for 5 that burns 2, possibly burns another 2. And so essentially off of this, guaranteed 4 damage, hits them for 5. It's very good. Also, it could be to lead an attack in order to find your Napalm Man 2 because of it having gauge 5 on it as well. On the utility attacks, we're playing 4 Napalm Bomb. It's Napalm Man's main card. It's range stun 2, and if your character's hand size is 5 or less, the difficulty of this card gets -1. This card is actually still fantastic. It just says my opponent loses 2 vitality, and they can discard a card to cancel this effect. As a 4-low for 5 with stun 2, this card's an incredible poke or an opening attack in order to see if we can set up for any more big haymakers. The next attack that we're playing is 2 Geodo Ray. This is the new Cervantes attack from his new DLC. And basically, this job has two jobs. Either destroys the foundation, which is what Napalm Man wants to do, or we get to steal a momentum off the top of our deck, or make them discard a card, which triggers Napalm Man 2 Dot in order to work more effectively. Why do I want momentum, you ask? Well, it's simple. Casa de Leviathan. Being able to just discard my momentum, the only discard momentum outlet that I really have in the deck, or that I want to use to just destroy more foundations that are my pick, is just using the first form on Napalm Man over and over again. Really solid ability. As well as it's just a 7 high for 5 that burns them for 2, possibly burns them for another 2. It's just utility on the character. The last 2 cards are just big damage attacks. It is it's really easy to get my opponent into a really close danger zone when it comes to using Napalm, as I'll make them lose vitality down to like 5 or 6. And these last two cards are the thing that get to close out my game. So Downward Spiral is the other 2 check. I was wrong. I thought we were only playing 1. Is the only 2 check. Is the other 2 check in the deck. I have the Void symbol on both my characters, so that I get to make them discard a card as well as just get a bunch of damage. And with Napalm Man 2 if I can find an attack on my turn, I can just discard whatever card and then pick back up Downward Spiral out of my discard pile. Really, really strong. And then the last attack is just double Spirit Shotgun for the same reason. This card just closes out games. It's guaranteed 2 damage off of Napalm Man. If they don't block, another 2 damage. If they do block, they're taking half, plus whatever foundations that I've built. Just really good interaction. On to the actions and assets. These are the support cards that are a little more niche, a little more specific. Because we are Napalm Man and we're just want to destroy foundations, and this is Travis's favorite card, we're playing 4 Tagoro Brothers. This card is just a staple in anything that its main mode of operandi is just foundation starve my opponent. This card says after they play an ability on something, you destroy it. So like a really good play is maybe you don't want to destroy their best card with Napalm Man because we're going to Tagoro Brothers them. Or a really cool play that we can do is you can use the first form to destroy an asset and think that they're safe from your burn ability, because the burn only happens if we've destroyed foundations. Then they play in a foundation ability. I respond to Tagoro Brothers, destroy it, draw my card, or remove it, and then I've destroyed a foundation, and so now I get to burn them. So I'm kind of leading them into a trap. It truly is a really good trap card inside of this deck. And then my last foundation is... Or excuse me, my last action is Prepare to Fight. The Prepare to Fight's just a good card. It's just a solid block. I only have 30 life as a 5-hand size character, which used to be a bunch whenever Napalm Man was printed. But now we've kind of scaled up our life and our defense because of how aggressive attacks can be. So this is just a really good catch-all block. It's just a solid block, solid action. Does exactly what an action wants to do. On to the assets, we're playing 1 Nirvana. Nirvana is... just cancel a keyword and / or lets me be a little more aggressive or defensive because of the ready ability. Just readying a foundation is super good, especially when I'm trying to play cards like a Spirit Shotgun at the end of a chain and then maybe try and survive a turn afterwards. We're playing 1 Judgment Day. Judgment Day is just more foundation hate. I don't have to use my first form Destroy if I can enhance, add it to my hand, gain a vitality. And then since I probably have less life than my opponent, or sorry, less hand size than my opponent, I get to build this in after I block with it. Or after you play this card as a form, excuse me, not as you block with it. I gotta read cards. And then my last asset is going to be Maus and Aes. It just turns 1 attack into 2 attacks, so it's kind of like a little baby Napalm Man is a way that you can look at it. Only if you can filter what is inside of your discard pile. Turning every attack into a Spirit Shotgun is really good. Turning every attack into a Downward Spiral is good. And so being able to steal the enhances on cards is good. It's very solid. Onto the foundation. If you haven't seen one of my videos, basically the way that I do this is I take and I talk about how the jobs of the foundations as opposed to just the foundations themselves. And so the first section that we're going to be talking about is trying to kill you faster. And so the first foundation we're going to be talking about is Over the Top. Over the Top is just a really easy card that I get that build super quick. It is doesn't count as progressive, and it's just an extra damage off of Spirit Shotgun as well. I can just load these up into my card pool with the enhancer, just playing them out of my hand, and give Spirit Shotgun a little extra juice. In addition to that, we're also playing 3 Rooting the World of Outsiders. It just says my next one gets real beefy. This combos really well with Napalm Man 2 because it gives +2 speed, and if they don't block my Casa de Leviathan, they'll burn an additional 2. So they're pretty much guaranteed to discard that card, which means maybe they can't block my Spirit Shotgun later. Up next, we're playing 3 A New Empress of Nether Realms. This card is because I'm just a 5-hand size character. Sometimes I just can't find enough juice in order to sculpt a good kill turn. And so pay a 10th of my vitality in order to draw an additional card is super, super worth it. For the same reason, we're playing triple Voice of Reason. I want to take and find and sculpt and get the correct kill cards out of my discard pile, and so this is the card to do it. Up next, We've got triple the Hunt for Spiders and Dragons. This card says after my death attack deals damage, they're going to lose an additional 2 damage. Really, really good on a Spirit Shotgun, as well as it kind of has that same job as the asset where I'm going to flip their stuff so that I can first form better, more optimal things. I don't have to blow up face downs. On the defense of the deck, we'll talk about Speed Hate first, just Guardians of the Spirit Sword. With this card in here, it's just a free minus speed. We don't necessarily want to pick up any of our assets, except for maybe the Judgment Day. And even that, I don't even necessarily want to have, per se. In addition to that, I've got 3 Conquest of Terror. It just kind of covers my block zones, as well as just a flip for another -2 speed. We're playing triple Kieran Soul just in order to cover our block zones. As a 5-hand size character, it's really easy to get caught with some poor cards in our hand. Maybe I accidentally find just one single mid block and they start throwing a bunch of lows. We'll just make sure that I get to full block at least one thing and try and stretch on my vitality. Playing 2 Dark Side of Karma. It's just a negate card. We don't necessarily need to use the Speed Hate because of all the Speed Hate we have mainboarded, but it just it kind of disrupts their plan. But they can plan around it because it is a foundation that has to be live on the board. We're playing triple Keiko's Aid. It's basically a guaranteed breaker on whatever attack they're playing next. This is a turn ender, especially if you get 2 of these to trigger off. And it flips as opposed to destroys or whatever, so it's just another ready resource that I can commit in order to block again, if necessary. Up next, we're playing triple Most Trusted Assassin. The main reason this card's in here is it is a spam, meaning it is a 1 or less difficulty, and it has the same kind of job as Keiko's Aid, giving their check -1, and then making their difficulty +1 means that essentially it's breaker 3. That's how we can translate the math. And so their turn is just over if I get to trigger both of these at the same time. Or if I just stack up 3 of these. Pay a 10th of my life, you're not going to play another card. We're playing 1 Red Dragon Assassin. Now we're kind of into the technical stuff. Just destroy one of my foundations. It's just another copy of Napalm Man. Maybe they built 2 of an answer. I can first form this, play it first, enhance, destroy theirs. Well, now those 2 answers don't necessarily matter. Playing Double Wishing Ward for the same reason of Red Dragon Assassin, getting rid of foundations. I want to get rid of their momentum because momentum's a really strong resource. I mean, you saw us wanting to have momentum for Casa de Leviathan, and so maybe they're playing their own Casa. Well, I don't want them to be able to use that. We're playing Match Made in Hell. This card is just another opponent's turn, flip, destroy one of my opponent's foundations, build it face down, and then first form Deadlock commit, destroy one of my opponent's foundations. It's a little Deadlock pressure. We have that. We've got Mace and AS, and we've got Spirit Shotgun, but that's pretty much all the Deadlock that we have, and that's totally fine. Death doesn't need to be a Deadlock deck. It's just a little more foundation control. We're playing 1 new Shipmates in order to keep us alive, -2 damage, gain a life. It's just real technical. This is one of those, all of these cards that we've seen in the last section have just been real tech pieces, take it or leave it tech kind of cards. I like this card, Travis likes this card, so it's in the deck. And then my last one is Nightmare Terrors. This is a free low block. It's really it pairs really, really well with Kieran Soul in order to make sure that I can guarantee block a mid or a low whenever I need to. All right, and so that was Napalm Man 1 dot. Make sure that you check out the band brawl that we have here as a playlist out on YouTube on the channel. If you like the deck, make sure that you let us know, whether it be the character proper. Yeah, we know you can't play them in standard, but the engine of the deck can certainly still be played. And so let us know down in the comments down below how you like the engine. What would you change? What was your favorite part? So on and so forth. Or if you want to have a big, long conversation with Travis about how awesome his deck is, make sure you go out and support us at patreon.com/TCG University for the $1 level. Get access to our Discord, and we'll have conversations with you about Napalm Man for, until we're blue in the keys. Yeah. And then lastly, if you want to see any of these campus championships recorded live, go out to twitch.tv/TCG University, and we're live every Tuesday starting at 6 o'clock with a whole brand new bracket. So see it first before it's live out on YouTube. From all of us here at TCGU, thank you very much for watching, and stay learned.